Animal Treasure Island is a criminally underappreciated Toei film from 1971. If the 71 part instantly made you think, no, there's no way I'm watching this, you might need a little backstory. For one, this is a film from the very end of an era when Toei could put a ton of money, work, and talent into their movies. Back in the day, Toei used to categorize their movies by budget. In the low-budget category were things like the Flying Phantom Ship and the Cyborg 009 film, and the high-budget ones were features like the iconic, yet in my opinion not very good, source of Toei's mascot, Puss in Boots, and, of course, Animal Treasure Island. While Puss in Boots only really stands out through Hayao Miyazaki's fantastically animated climax, and is otherwise a pretty forgettable children's film that succumbs to the very typical Disney wannabe trend of trying to be a musical even though it has no reason to be one. Oh my god, you've just met, you don't have to sing about how you're the best of friends for minutes. Animal Treasure Island knows that there is intelligence involved in creating even the most mindless forms of entertainment. Nonetheless, it did poorly in ticket sales, not helped by its release at the same time as an Ultraman movie, way to go Toei, and was, for that reason, their final high-budget film of that era. This was quite disheartening to its staff, including a young Hayao Miyazaki, who was credited as the Idea Man, and he animated a very long and well-executed action scene. You can certainly tell why they had hope for this movie. It's technically just a series of gags and action scenes, but it feels like they really tried to make it the most exciting series of gags and action scenes out there. The film has pretty much nothing to do with its source material and is extremely light on plot, instead being carried solely by its high-quality execution. It is to animation almost what a Jackie Chan film is to cinema. There is an often ignored art to delivering shallow fun in a way that is as involving as possible to the audience, and I'm convinced that director Hiroshi Ikeda understood this quite well. Often, critical anime audiences will have no idea what to think of movies like this because of their total lack of plot and character development. As a result, they will often be stuck with the extremely common score of 6 out of 10 on my anime list, and likely ignored by many as a result. While very well animated, Animal Treasure Island is not what certain people would think of as a Sakuga anime. The animation is more consistent than, say, a modern Toei One Piece movie, where you can specifically pinpoint which scenes were done by which animator. Its Western influence is very blatant, while at the same time still having an unmistakable sense of post-Tezuka Japaneseness to it. It's limited and not as fluid as can be, but not nearly as limited as you would expect. It's not a poor man's Disney film because it takes a lot of visual decisions that a Disney film absolutely would not. It's a product of its era in the best way possible, with Miyazaki's elaborate and well-crafted action scene serving as the absolute highlight. This is a much younger, pre-Castle of Cagliostro Miyazaki, the same man who directed the surprisingly cartoonly and loosely drawn Future Boy Conan. As much as the style that Miyazaki evolved into is interesting in its own way, there's something really cool about seeing a man with such technical skill make character drawings as cartoonish as this, driven not by detail or shading, but purely by the quality of the poses and facial expressions. It's an aesthetic sense that Miyazaki kind of went back to with Ponyo, but even then it wasn't quite the same. The backgrounds are also quite stylish and well done, but one thing that kind of bums me out is that the majority of the film takes place at sea. In my opinion, the backgrounds are at their absolute best in the film's introduction, where the angular, awesomely colored, almost cabinet of Dr. Caligari-ish architecture is shown off. I'd be very interested to find out which of the background artists for the film did those particular segments. Nonetheless, the jungle backgrounds are still very well drawn, and the water, especially in Miyazaki and Yoichi Kotabe's scenes, can be very well animated. For a movie containing on-screen deaths and a villain that attempts to murder the child protagonist more than once, Animal Treasure Island is a pretty joyful and light-hearted ride. It's the kind of movie where, even when something really tense is going on, you know everything will turn out okay anyway, and the good guys will prevail, either through their own wits or through utterly ridiculous coincidences. But that's honestly okay in this type of movie, and to fault it for this would mean to criticize it for what it wasn't even trying to be. It's all about careless fun, and the characters mirror this very well. Despite being a little on the dense side, the male lead is very fun to watch, and despite being a total scumbag, the pirate captain becomes oddly very likable too. Kathy, the female lead, was either Miyazaki's own idea or simply an idea that he quickly grew to like. She's a tough, surprisingly badass character that always manages to one-up the bad guys in some way, even at the point where it seemed like she's finally become a stereotypical damsel in distress. In short, this is a very worthwhile movie as long as you don't expect to take much away from it beyond well-executed childish entertainment. If you're a casual viewer, you will most likely enjoy yourself. If you want to go more in-depth, you can analyze the hows and whys behind the pure entertainment value of such a film. Color, music, motion, composition, everything. Either way, you will surely have a fun time, and that's ultimately all that matters.